Hashtag 7 years left. Right Armstrong, New York City, Times Square, right now, right here. We all have blood on our hands. The blood of future generations that will not live on a planet because we have poisoned it past the point of no return. Every plastic piece of takeout, every bag, every tub that we own in our lives is made of plastic. I sit here today covered in oil and blood and suffocated by plastic to protest our inaction on fossil fuels. Over 99% of plastic is made from chemicals sourced from fossil fuels, and many people don't know that they are connected. We found out 2 years ago that the National Petroleum Council, that advises the United States Secretary of Energy, knew about increased levels of CO2 in the air and the accumulation problem back in the 1970s, yet they did nothing about it. Not only is our government culpable, but so are most of the corporations in our country. Instead of dealing with the problem, marketing campaigns were crafted to introduce, quote, recycling into our society as a way to do the, quote, right thing. However, little did we know that these plastics were coming from the fossil fuel industry. On top of that, currently only about 1 in 8 items are actually recycled. In fact, the government knew about this CO2 problem long ago. In the conclusion of the Oak Ridge National Laboratory 1982 research study entitled, quote, Energy Supply and Demand Implications of CO2, concluded that in order to achieve a concentration limit of 500 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the air, and I quote, vigorous action would have to be effective within the next 10 to 20 years. In 1982, the concentration was about 342 parts per million, when it averaged around 250 for the previous 10,000 years. Today, we sit at 417 parts per million and rising. They also recommended the, quote, introduction of non-fossil sources of energy to ease the severity of the needed response to curtail fossil fuels. This was reported about 40 years ago, and we have made limited progress. So, we have blood on our hands, and according to scientists, we have 7 years left. That is the deadline. That is the countdown clock. By 2028, we cannot turn back. I hope that terrifies you. If we do nothing, 3 to 4 billion people could die due to climate disasters caused by humans in the next 100 years. Yes, you have blood on your hands. However, the main problem is not the individual, it is our system. We demand corporations make swift changes to energy processes towards renewables and in technology to replace all plastics with glass and fungus-based ecological alternatives to packaging. Plastic must be banned now. Not just single use, but all kinds. And after this pandemic, things cannot go back to normal. We must change our lives to save the lives of future generations. Otherwise, we are all murderers. Join me in a sit-in today to protest the inaction of our government and our corporations, many of whom are around us in Times Square who aren't doing enough. Call them out. Mars Incorporated, who make M&Ms, the Disney Corporation, ABC News, Chase Bank, Bank of America. It is time to boycott against fossil fuels and demand divestment. Tag these corporations and demand. We have power in numbers, and we will be heard. Otherwise, we will still have blood on our hands, and we have 7 years left. Time to get to work.